Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Wednesday, February 25th. And this is probably we're wrapping up February this week. As looking at my calendar, it's February 27th is on Friday, so we're going to be in March next week. Right now, market is actually showing a little bit of strength. Started a little bit in the overnight, but a little bit of strength going into today's trading. We'll take that. News this morning, we had mortgage apps come out. They came out pretty flat, a little bit back and forth, but then nothing really big. The refinance was up a little bit. Then we have a bunch of speakers again today. We have an oil report at 10:30, 2-year, 5-year auction at 1, but not much news to drive the market at all. So it's going to be one of those days where we are going to be in a holding pattern waiting for NVIDIA earnings. Now, looks like we have a little bit of strength going. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing the market start grinding higher. That would be pretty good into NVIDIA earnings. But I hate to say it, it could be a buy the rumor, sell the fact kind of deal, you know? There'd be people buying up the market because all excited going into the NVIDIA earnings. And if there's any kind of disappointment, it doesn't even need to be a disappointment. It could be something people are just looking for. You know, some little tweak somewhere, and then you use that as an excuse to sell. But buy the rumor, sell the fact, very much a reality today, or could be. So let's keep that in the back of your head. If they start moving higher, start taking out some upper level resistance areas and start going, I would just stay on that trend, and then let's see how far they want to go with it. And then the big question comes then after the earnings report comes out, the market's the initial digestion, and then we'll see who's going to be rock and roll on Thursday. So right now, we're looking at we are right up here against this upper area, the 69.30s in the overnight. Yesterday's trading was pretty good. We stalled a little bit shy of that, and so far we haven't really done a whole lot to the downside. I kept this level here. I could have made this a little bit bigger to include this area, the high of yesterday's trading, but you can see how that overnight has already been trading around that level for quite a bit. I opted to key in on that mode for a couple of days back instead. That's always the issue when you try to draw these edges. Nothing is ever like super clean cut. There's always a little bit of trade-off going on there. And it's at this point when you're up against these upper levels, uh, still looking for a short against these right now, the way it looks. But if they take it out, I can see them run right back here to the 69.60s, not too far away, and show a little bit of strength going into today's trading and into that earnings announcement. But then again, earnings announcement, NVIDIA is going to be a big deal. A lot of the whole AI trade hinges on it. It's like a bellwether for it, and if there's anything in that report which disappoints or can be questioned, you're probably going to see a negative reaction in Thursday's trading. But today it could go either two ways. We can have yes, no news to drive the market, so we can be pretty much in a doldrum range bound kind of a trading day, or we may see a little bit of that buy the rumor, sell the fact kind of dynamic. It could be buy the rumor and then everything explodes to the upside as well if the end report is spectacular. But these guys, the expectations on NVIDIA is so high. It's just hard to live up to it, you know. So eventually it's going to be as a disappointment just because it's not good enough. So overall, though, I'm going to start this the way it looks. I'm going to start it with a bias from the to the upside. We're going to buy weakness and see if they can retest these highs, potentially take out resistance at 69.30s. And if they can't, then we'll back off and go back range bound. All right. If they can, and we'll stay on the long side and see look for a move up to the 69.60s, maybe higher. We have a nice low volume area at the 70s. So 60s your attractor, 70s were stalls, most likely. And if they keep going past that, I mean, that would be a pretty good day. But I would just stay on the long side still. Just be mindful that 69.60 is your attractor on the upside. 70 is the low volume area on the way up. It's going to stall activity for a bit. And then we'll see if the market's going to be that strong or not. If they can't take out resistance yet at the 30s, you may see just the rotation right back here towards these 80s and pretty much stay there. So we've seen that in the overnight when we get this early strength. Sometimes he has had his hard knockdown, like we had the other day here. They were up here Well, they were up here in the overnight, the day session kicked up and tried to take it higher and then absolutely creamed it. So, and those are the two options in front of us. Now, I would start looking for a retest at the highs, potentially higher, looking for a retest failure at the 30s and see if that is going to develop into a trade or not. If we get early weakness, I would look to buy against the 6900s, 68.95s, and those are the only two I would look to buy against. If both of them comes out and starts trading below that session low, I will be back range bound, looking for a move into this lower range again. A pretty straightforward analysis this morning in terms of what potentially could happen. Let's see if the market's going to be in a good mood and try to take it higher or not. And early on, before the London close, if they start trading below that 68.95 here, I will be asked back range bound again. So that's pretty much straightforward. How we're going to approach it this morning. Now the overnight, the strength here is just that overnight strength, and we'll see if they can take out resistance. And as I said, if not, they could be a little probe to the upside, but that's a day session kicks in. And chances are we'll have to wait for the day session to kick in before we see maybe an attempt to take it higher. And then the big question are they going to be able to keep going or are they just going to knock it down? So, but we have a couple of levels to key in on. Start trading below that 68.95s, and then we know that we are heading back down into this lower range. If they take out the 69.30 and stay above it, then yeah, stay on the long side. That's what I want to take it. On the NASDAQ has already kind of taken out that a bit. They're already probing above it, this three-letter ledge. They already are probing above it on the NASDAQ. Looks to me like we may have a shot at running it up here to the 450, the big level right there. And if that comes out, then when I think we have a shot at heading up to the 700s. Now that would be a pretty strong day if that happens. I'm not quite going to be in that camp, but early strength, if they keep going and stay above this resistance area at the 120s, it's kind of right here between these two ledges. So I would say both of these areas, the 100 and the 140s now need to come out and stay out. If they can hold above that, we can see a move up here to that level, the 450. So getting up to these upper levels, that's kind of what I would expect in a potential failure to occur or resistance to start really be obvious. So if they stay on the if they can hold above that 120, 140 level, stay on the long side, see how far they can take it. Just be mindful when they get up to that 430s, that's when we're looking for potential shorts and running out of gas. Probably not the whole rush if they get that up there to do that, but it's you can probably take your time at that point, but definitely it should be a nice move to the upside if that happens. If they cannot, if they fail here to take out resistance, and this is just a probe right now we're looking at, we'll see them pull back into this lower range again. And I would look to buy against the 100s, the 25,040s, and the 24,000s for rotations up. Below 24,000, I would take off the long bias and go back range bound. One level below the obvious would be 24,960. So that would be these two support areas. But if they back off more than that, we are back range bound. We are back in this lower range again. So the 960s is, as you can see, that is a volume edge right there. And most of the volume is right below it. So they're up here against these upper areas, kind of flirting with the high, see if they can take it higher. And let's see how far they can go. So pretty much the same analysis as on the ES. If they can keep going, we're looking for run up here to the 440s, 450s. That would be the first area of resistance to watch. A tractor is still up here at a little bit higher at 700s. And that would be a pretty good move to get up there. I would expect them to run in some trouble here at the 430 to 440s to 50s. And on the way down, if you see some early weakness, I would look to buy against that 40. Well, aggressive would be at 25,100s, less aggressive at the 40s, at the 25,000s, and the one level below that is 960 for rotations up. And below 960, yeah, just stay on the take off the long bias, come back range band at that point. Now, both for ES and the NASDAQ, if they back off that much and you go back range bound, you're still looking to buy on the way down here. I mean, they're still back in that lower range. Yes, fall back to range bound trading, and look to buy the weakness as they keep taking it lower. Just not super aggressively. Just wait for a good setup for a potential move. And you never know what happens, which level is going to hold. So just kind of look for the setup, looking for a retest failure, stall, and then it's move to the upside. Try to get as good trade location as you can, because that's usually the key. A good trade location gives you a few options to manage the trade. If you have shitty trade location, usually you have to just repair it once, and then you just have to kind of pray for the second one not to knock you out. But it's what I'm talking about. When the easiest thing to do is to buy breakouts. And when they start the market start moving, you get on you hop on the bandwagon. Sometimes you just get you caught there. You know, it's if it's a sloppy market, that's just get you caught. Example right now. I mean, you see the Nasdaq here. They popped a little bit above the high, and if you try to buy that on the way up, assuming you try to buy that, you would just be in a shitty trade location. You know nowhere to go, but down again, unless the market really is on the tear and it just keeps going. So but usually that is not the obvious case. Usually you have the little probe and then the pullback, and so always, if you're looking at getting short or long against the level, you're looking for a little bit of a directional move. Then for a pullback, try to get on that pullback instead. And if you're wrong, you can have a tighter stop without losing a lot of money. All right. So that's the ES and the Nasdaq. Let's see how this overnight strength keeps developing, if it does. And then finally, the bonds. It's kind of holding in a range, still up here about the 117.16s. It's going sideways on the bigger picture on the bonds. So here's your F2, here's your F1. It's just kind of stalled here at the 17, 19, and been up here at the 118s a bit, but back down again. So they're up against an upper edge here, and at this point, just going to be looking for a rotation back to the mean, unless we see a nice little pop to the upside. So the NVIDIA earnings is not going to do anything on that one, but it could be news coming out here on Thursday, Friday. We got a little bit more news then, which potentially could move it. But the bond market has been pretty range bound. It's drifted a little bit higher now. Long-term yields came down a little bit. So as traded range bound, look to buy weakness, 1722, 1714s. Look to sell strength, 1728s. 1805s for rotations back down again. So that's pretty much it. 2 levels up, 2 levels down. That should be sufficient. It's been a pretty darn tight range. So not much going on the bond. I have not tried to trade it the last few days. When it's tight like that, you just have to be a lot more selective. And because you get caught in a slow market, tight market, you can be twisting in the wind for hours before you get a shot at getting out. So anyway, back to the ES and the Nasdaq, and we're going to see how this whole thing develops. So no news to drive the market today. The next piece of news is a 10:30 oil report. And that's going to do much for us here, and then the 5-year auction at 1. So not much to drive the market at all. And after the close, we got the NVIDIA earnings. That's going to be the interesting part. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. I'll see you back at 11:30 for the next update. So good trading, guys. We'll see you back then.